Hello again, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is John. I'm a full-time eBay reseller based in Melbourne, Australia. Today I'm going to talk about the fit of reselling to you, the person. What do I mean by that? So my journey is when I started as actually no, I'll go back. You know when you grow up and people say, oh, you have this quality about yourself, you would make a good doctor, or you have this height, you should go play basketball. You spend most of your childhood with people telling you what you should do with your life. And that's quite normal because most people assume kids don't know. But the problem is that most people also don't know when to shut up when you start to figure it out, but they don't leave you alone. So for me, being Asian, those voices never really went away, even today. But what I learned about my journey was that I started out studying commerce and law, eventually worked as a banker in customer service interactions, and then became a finance broker, also client-facing. And then I started reselling full-time. I was always doing it as a hobby. But then after transitioning to full-time reselling, COVID happened. So, we were stuck at home for about 2 years. And then at the end of that 2 years, we went into a bank. And it was the same bank that I used to work at to kind of do some account maintenance things. Jenny said to me, "Are you nervous?" And I went, "No, why would you ask me that?" And she goes, "Because your hands are really sweaty." And they haven't been sweaty for a few years. And that made me realize something. Back when I used to work in the bank, being quite naturally introverted, I don't enjoy social interactions for the most part. Not because I'm antisocial, but because they make me anxious. I got bullied when I migrated over from Malaysia as well to Australia. That first year was a horrendous transition for me. And I remember, for the most part, wanting to only wear closed-toed shoes so that I can wiggle my toes whenever I'm talking to somebody. That way I could fidget a bit to kind of cope, right? And those of you who are, who get anxious in social settings, you'll know what I mean. And I remember even working in the bank, when my hands would get sweaty, I refused to write on paper because I didn't want to blot while I was writing. So then what I'd do is I would just type on the keyboard instead, because I assumed, or at least I thought, the droplets of sweat that I would leave on the keyboard were less obvious than the drops of sweat I leave on paper while talking to a customer. I would still actually be able to talk to the customer, kind of like how I'm doing it now. And I'd still hit my sales targets, double my sales targets, did really, really well. So it was like, I could still perform, but I was constantly having to overcome this personal anxiety of talking to people. And so after reselling and COVID and being stuck at home and just being left alone to work on my business, it became very clear that this business was more suited to me than all the client-facing stuff I was doing, because people told me that I was good at it. You see, when I was younger, I was pretty good at this. I can talk the whole night, right? Analogy after analogy, going deep into topics and breaking it all down. But I just didn't enjoy that in-person thing. It just messed with me. In fact, I'd come up with so many strategies to deal with being in a room of people. Like one of them was, when I go into a room, I made a decision that I would make a fool of myself within the first minute of me being there. That way, if I at least controlled my foolishness. Very thankful that I married a wife who allows me to do this, rather than someone who get embarrassed by my behavior. So that also has led to me being asked to be an MC at weddings several times, because I would just break down the barrier from the start. And it's simple things like it's simple things like going into a room and telling everyone that I've got the snip. Just people going, "Whoa, that's a pretty big topic to start off the night." Things like that. Or just going into a room and going to a guy like, "Hey, Ben, you look pretty good looking today." And everyone would just be like, "Dude, why are you doing that?" So just things like that, just to kind of make it through the night. Whereas now in eBay, don't have to do that anymore. Don't have to sit face to face with clients. Do not have to navigate that. And I'm thriving. So that's the fit that I'm talking about with eBay, the business, and me, the person. Obviously, that's just from an introvert, extrovert kind of perspective. I'm sure there are other ways that eBay as a reselling business can suit you more than a job that you're currently in, or whatever it is that you're currently doing. It could be that you are someone who is very good at managing a lot of things, but you are in a role that insists that you only do one thing. It could be that you're someone who has plenty of ideas of how to improve what you're doing, but you work for a manager, and I used to work for one of those managers, that will tell you that's not how we do this here. And it's frustrating to be in that job because you can't improve, you can't flourish, right? So when I'm thinking about when thinking about transitioning into eBay as a business, it's actually worth asking, is it a fit? And is it a better fit for you as a person rather than the thing that you're currently doing? Because oftentimes the starting point is finances. People are drawn into this whole reselling thing because they want to be their own boss. They want to make more money. They want more freedom. Those are all great things, but if it's not a fit, you'll never achieve those outcomes. If you want to be your own boss because you're just, you hate your current boss, a better boss could just be the solution that you need. If you want to make more money, it's a lot of work. And if it's a lot of work that isn't a fit for you, more than the thing that you're currently doing, you're not going to make that money. And the third thing with freedom and flexibility is there in any business. The issue is whether you know how to manage that flexibility and freedom or not. Because if you can't, you'll find that it's actually super exhausting. You're better off going to work and clocking off at 5 and not thinking about it again. So this video is just a quick discussion. There's no action plan. There's no next steps. It's just me sharing with you how I worked out that this was more a fit for me than what I was doing previously. And maybe you have a story of your own that you'd like to share. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below of how you worked out that eBay, reselling, running your own business was more a fit for you than the thing you were doing before. Until the next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.